Hey everybody, welcome back to Record-ology. This is going to be fun. This is unique. Now, as you know, we are very much an entry-level channel. A lot of people have a hard time understanding why we are or that we are, but we are. We're focused on the entry level, doing things on a budget, sometimes an extreme budget. So the topics of the audiophile world rarely make their way into our world until today, because there is a company in the UK called the Funk Firm, and they make products that turn your experience into a complete analog lover's dream, true audiophile products on a budget. They allow you to get those experiences without paying astronomical fees to do so. And I'm going to demonstrate some of those products for you today. You're not going to want to miss this.
Welcome to Record-ology.
So the Funk Firm and its founder, Arthur, very well respected in the vinyl community, and specifically in that super high-end audiophile territory that we tread very lightly in here on Record-ology. But what attracted me to these products is the fact that they allow the average Joe on a budget to make some specific and targeted small investments relatively that will yield audiophile results. And now this all hinges on something that they have called the isolation bubble. It is a white paper, and it's imperative to fully understand this that you read that white paper. So I will link to that down below. In fact, you may want to pause this video, at least read through that, and then come back. So the basic premise of the isolation bubble is that we, when we're listening to a record, are truly trying to get the very best sound. Now, as you may know, most records weren't recorded on a disc, they were recorded on analog tape. So that master tape is truly what we're trying to get back to listening in the process of listening to a record. A record is a distribution format, like I've said before. It's not an archival format or a recording format. In most cases, I know there's transcriptions, I know direct-to-disc, all this stuff, I know that. But for the most part, commercial recordings are released on vinyl records as a method to inexpensively, compared to tape, get you an analog recording. But the process of playing back that record inherently introduces distortions and limitations that degrade and decompose the sound signal that we are trying to listen to in very small and minute bits here and there at various places in the playback process. So these products kind of go in a targeted way, isolating different issues where they present themselves in the chain of command, chain of custody, as it were, for playing back the audio. So we ultimately are trying to get back to that master tape, listening to that master tape recording of our favorite album. But the record player is actually, the turntable itself is the biggest culprit. Everything from the plinth to the platter, to the tone arm, to the cartridge, and the way that we view the norms surrounding those individual components. Things like a metal platter, a rigid tone arm that has a rigidly affixed phono cartridge, rigid feet attached to a rigid turntable, things of that nature, a tubular tone arm, etc., etc. These little things that are basically foundational in the design of a turntable introduce flaws into the playback. So even though I purchased this record, this vinyl record, to listen to A Portrait of Patsy Cline, what I'm really trying to get is the sound from the analog tape. Now, this is a crude example because these are both commercial pressings or prints for consumption, but the point is that the original analog master tape, this is an album reel, it's not a master tape, it's for effect. This is a visual for effect, okay? The original master tape has the best sound. A vinyl record can have very good sound, but what we're trying to do is get through this technology back to this original tape recording. Okay, so let's start with one aspect. Let's start with a platter. This is a pretty common type of cast aluminum platter. This is a Technics platter. This is off my SLB5. And, it's fine for what it is. It's very common type cast aluminum. And these were obviously made at a cost. And so thinner is cheaper, is lighter is better, and more cost effective for the manufacturers. And they do an okay job, but they have an inherent design flaw, and that is that they introduce a lot of needle talk in the form of platter ring. So if I go like this, you're going to hear a metallic ring. And so we overcome that with a platter mat. These rubber ones are very, very common, especially for 70s era Technics. And that deadens it to a degree. You can still hear some ringing there, which will translate into feedback, into distortions in the audio. And that's where this bad boy comes in. This is the acromat, and this is the higher end one. I'll show you what I mean in a minute. The idea is that using a platter mat that mimics the material of a PVC record will give you better sonic performance than one that is diametrically different. So a vinyl record versus rubber, two completely different surfaces, materials. Vinyl versus felt, two different surfaces. Vinyl versus cork, two different surfaces. So the idea and the theory and practice is that when you use disparate materials at this stage in the reproduction chain, you're going to introduce imperfections in the sound. That's where the acromat comes in, because it is made of a material that mimics that of PVC, the record material itself, the polyvinyl chloride. And that is a desirable thing. Plus, the acromat surface is actually filled with millions of little bubbles, air bubbles, and the walls of those air bubbles actually flex and adapt to the sound frequencies that are coming through it and kind of bouncing off of it back into the stylus as the record is played. This higher end one is bonded to a glass plate. So you can see underneath here, this is a heavy non-resonant glass plate. And I want to demonstrate in a minute the difference when I tap on this. So yeah, it's a heavy duty, thick, and this is their higher end one. They offer different versions, ones with and without the glass substrate, and different thicknesses as well. So let's go ahead and put this on the platter. Again, very ringy sounding, metallic obviously. And we put this on and all of a sudden those resonances go away. Check this out. You're just hearing this surface right here. And what's amazing is on the turntable, and we'll demonstrate this a little bit later, when you do tap, it's completely non-microphonic. You don't hear that sound coming back through, and you certainly don't hear the ringing. Okay, the next product is called boings. I think these are really cool. They make them for different turntables, different specifications. So what's really cool is most of these products are customizable based on the turntable you're trying to retrofit. They come in this cool tube with tissue paper and everything. I just wanted to show that. But the actual product, again, designed and made in the UK. This is super high quality powder coated metal. I love this. And basically the premise is this is a foot. This is a replacement foot for your turntable that allows you to isolate unwanted vibrations. And we've talked about silicone ones. We've talked about, other noise dampening. But these are really cool because they nab the unwanted vibrations in the actual foot itself. And this is what the product looks like. So it is cupped with a rubber rim. That is the part that touches the surface of the table or the stand. And using these bolts, it attaches directly to your turntable, replacing the old foot. And as you can see, this is spring mounted. So the weight of the the weight of the turntable itself allows this then to basically rest on these springs. And it's a great way to isolate unwanted vibration. So this can be a very cost-effective way to isolate unwanted vibrations right there at the bottom of your turntable. Now, I will not be able to demonstrate these today because I don't have a turntable that fits this. The turntable's feet that I have don't have this diameter of opening or need this diameter of a bolt. Okay, the next product I want to talk about are these. This is called the Houdini. It comes in this cool box, by the way. The packaging is just top notch. Here is the manual, and there is the product. I like the miniature but proportional screwdriver there. Very cool. Basically, what this does is it allows you, this is a piece that goes onto a head shell assembly, and we'll demonstrate this. I'll show you in a minute. Traditionally, a phono cartridge is rigidly affixed to the head shell and therefore the tone arm. But the thought is, and the practice is, that in so doing, we are introducing unwanted feedback from the tone arm, from the vibrations of the music playing and the motor and all that stuff. And one way to combat this is this Houdini product, which adds some more isolation. Now this piece, this inset piece, moves. It is spring loaded and allows more of those vibrations to be damped, but this time at the cartridge level itself. They make two versions of this, one that's threaded and one that's a pass-through. It works with phono cartridges that need to be threaded and those that do not. So there's one of each version here. But we'll be using it today with my beautiful Grado Gold Prestige 2. This is my highest performing phono cartridge, so it made sense. I mean, if we're going to use it for something, this would be the video to do it with. So the Grado Gold Prestige 2, and you may be saying to yourself, well, how is that going to work? Because if you mount that, it's going to, create quite a difference in height. And right you would be, because if you mount the cartridge directly to the head shell, it's going to be a certain height. But if you add into the mix this piece and the phono cartridge, that's going to add some extra height, and your VTA is going to be completely off. The good news is they also provide a special head shell that has more room up top to accommodate the vertical height that is consumed by this product, and I think that that is fascinating. You would not mount the cartridge backwards though, and something like that. So we're going to go ahead and listen to this product and that product. I can't demonstrate those. We're going to demonstrate the Houdini and the acromat using a turntable of mine with the Grado Gold Prestige 2, with and without these products. So we're going to mount this without any of the products, give it a listen, and then we're going to put everything together and give it a listen with all of the Funk Firm products. And I want to hear what you think. I personally can hear a difference. I can hear subtle improvements, and yes, you do get the impression that you're listening to a master tape. Okay, in terms of which turntable to use, it was between this and the PLX 500. I've decided to go with this, but you need to think through this fairly thoroughly when you're considering these upgrades. And I want to show you one case, actually two case in points here. So as you may or may not be aware, the SLB5 has a very unique platter mat. It's got this raised area, and that raised area is also larger than a typical platter mat hole because it goes around a unique spindle. This particular spindle comes out, so the regular single disc spindle fits right there, and therefore, and also this piece right here is flush. So if you put on a typical platter mat upgrade or try to change it out, what ends up happening is it's not flush, so it can't go over this. You're stuck with this mat, except for the acromat actually will work, but there's a caveat. So as you can see, this comes out because you can upgrade it to the stacker spindle either for 33 or 45 just by changing them out. We've done that before. So if I want to put the acromat on here, which we're going to do, and it will work with this asterisk placed next to it, you will notice that this larger opening on the bottom accommodates this piece right here and the diameter of it. However, it does not go through to the top of the surface. Now you could drill this out to a larger opening and this problem would disappear. But as it is right now, if I put this on, it will work, and the record, and this is fits and it's flush and all that. But the problem is that now I can't take that single that single disc spindle out. So I would, if I was going to do this for the long term, and if I do it for the long term, I will drill that out. Something to consider. But what are you drilling out? Can you is it the glass you need to drill out, or is it just the material on top? I think it's just the material on top. So it shouldn't be too hard to do. But I wanted to bring that up. Another thing you need to consider is VTA, because this is thick. This is, I think that's a 3 mil mat on top of another 3 mil glass substrate. So that's going to impact your VTA. You want your tone arm to be tracking the surface of the record completely level. Because this is a changer, it's got some inherent movement in its VTA. So it actually angles down, the tone arm does, when you're playing a single disc, and it's designed to give you an average between 1 disc and 6 discs. So in this case, it handles the extra thickness fine, but ideally you would want a turntable with a VTA adjustment. So something else to consider. Now, do you remember when I was tapping on it in the studio and I was explaining, how it kills off unwanted resonances and microphonic things? I want to demonstrate it here. It sounds very dead, very flat, and you really do not hear any metallic resonance whatsoever, which is great. So I'm going to take this back off because I want to do an A-B comparison. Okay, I've got the Grado Gold Prestige 2 mounted, balanced, aligned with a protractor. So what we're going to do is demonstrate the audio before. That'll be sort of our control sample, our baseline. Then we'll put everything on and listen to all of the retrofits and compare it, and then we'll go back and forth a little bit. For music, I will be using, of course, Future Sound Shock. This just sounds so dynamic. It's such a good recording, and it's so copyright friendly that it is the way to go. In terms of a preamp, we'll be using my Fozzy Audio Box X4 tube moving magnet phono preamp that does a fantastic job. And without further ado, here it is. All right, my friends, what do you think? I want to hear your opinions in the comments down below. Like I said earlier, I do hear a difference, at least in the room, listening with my own ears. Only you will be able to tell me whether or not YouTube and its compression and its processes will change or destroy those nuances. Hopefully not. Hopefully the differences come through, but I will have to rely on you, which I know I can, to let me and let everybody else know in the comments below what you heard, what you didn't hear, what your opinions are. I'll have links in the description below if you are interested. I think this stuff is fantastic. It's very interesting. Again, if you haven't read the isolation bubble white paper, that will be linked down below as well. But my friends, that is going to do it for today. Don't forget to like, thumbs up, subscribe, share it out, tell your friends, all that fun stuff. Check out our new merch in the merch shelf down below, our store tab. Consider becoming a member. Also, don't forget to pick up our latest limited edition 45 adapter. But my friends, that really is it for now. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. Yes, you. Yeah, you right there. You so very much. Thank you for being there. Happy record hunting. We'll see you next time.